It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, let me pull this last little graphic down that's in our way. There we go. Welcome to the Start Spreading the News Yankees show. Opening day just moments away, 2 days, and the Yankees 2026 season will be on once again. Thank you all for joining us on the many, many, many networks, including the brand new McGrath Network, which we are happy to be a part of. You saw those other graphics at the beginning. We're part of so many different networks that it's a great pleasure. And so people are watching us on Facebook and all sorts of different YouTube channels. So that's good stuff. My dear friend, my good friend, Dr. E.J. Fagan, who does this program with me, will be joining us in just a moment. But since EJ's on his way, let me remind everybody that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia Publishing is a fantastic, traditional, independent publisher located in the United States of America. And they have published many great books, including The Least Among Them, Roy White's From Compton to the Bronx, The Motivational 365.2, the greatest novel ever written, Scattering the Ashes. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes, your life is incomplete. And of course, the brand new book, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. That is my latest book. If you haven't gotten it yet, again, you need to. You can get all those books at apbooks.net. Now, if you're new to the program, you know that EJ is someone who is much more optimistic about the Yankees year in and year out than I am. In fact, on the Bronx Beat podcast, which is EJ's podcast, and remember, there's also the Dr. Sem Yankee show that airs 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings. On EJ's show, he has a rule where you have to pick the Yankees to win the World Series on the predictions show. And so we're going to see if he holds true to that. I think he will. He wrote an article about why he's optimistic about the 2020 of Signal. And so when EJ gets on, I'm going to try something different. We just got a signal booster, so that should be helping. And unfortunately, it looks like it's not. So I'm going to have to do some technical stuff here. Once EJ gets here, I'll take my picture down and we'll get EJ on the screen. My feelings about the Yankees is I think they built their team to be exactly what the team is going to be. A little better than pretty good. That probably means somewhere around 90 wins. It probably means the Yankees will make the playoffs. And there are a lot of fans who feel that as long as you make the playoffs, anything can happen. And that's true. That is true. And that's been the Yankees' model, hoping that good things happen once they finally make it to the playoffs. I'm not a big fan of that approach. And I'm not a big fan of that approach because I'm someone who says when you go in, you need to go all in. As a sports franchise, your number one goal should be building the best possible team. Now, if you're the Kansas City Royals or the Milwaukee Brewers or the Pittsburgh Pirates or even the Baltimore Orioles, that may not be necessarily possible because of limited resources. But when you're the New York Yankees, it should be absolutely possible. The Yankees should be always going for it. Instead, their model for the last many years has been to be pretty good, a little bit better than pretty good, and hope good things happen in the playoffs. I would rather go into the playoffs as the best team, knowing that anything can happen, but having all of the odds stacked in my favor because I have the best team. That would be the way I would do it if I were the Yankees. But obviously they don't do that. That's not the way they play anymore. So I think they'll be pretty good. There is the hope that when they make the playoffs, and if they don't make the playoffs, that would be a disaster, that they could run out a starting rotation that should be able to shut down really any lineup. And that's the big word for the 2026 Yankees. And I guess it's the big word for most teams, but it seems again that the Yankees spend a lot of their time on hope and if and maybe. But if Gerrit Cole comes back, and if Gerrit Cole is strong when the playoffs arrive, and if Carlos Rodon is back strong when the playoffs arrive, and if Cam Schlittler is
Hey, Paul.
getting frustrated, here I am, and EJ
There we
should
are.
be coming up in any moment. But if all those guys are back, and if they are good, here he is. Hi, EJ.
Doing wonderful, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're having some technical difficulties again, and your voice is a little muted. I couldn't hear you too well.
Hold on.
Oh, that's good.
You good?
I'm good now, yeah.
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm going to go off. I'm going to let you talk about how you see the 2026 Yankees for a minute, and then I'm going to, because I was doing a Zoom in this same spot the other day with the computer in a little different spot, and I had no issues. And when I did the Bronx Beat podcast with you last week, there was an issue. After that, I did a Zoom. I got a signal booster, and it still seems like there's a little bit of a dead spot. So you talk about how you think the Yankees will do, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be back here on Start Spreading the News. I always love recording these shows with Paul. I'm pretty optimistic. I think the Yankees are probably the best team in the American League. Some like people disagree on that. So the about half of the projection systems are projecting the Yankees to be the best team in the AL. Now they're not projecting them to be like a dominant team. So they're going to project it to win 89 wins, which the best team is going to win more than that. But these things are heavily regressed. The Dodgers are the super team, projected to win more than that. Betting markets have them as basically the second most likely team to win the World Series. That's interesting. And I think that I think that we lost some excitement because one, we lost out some players to the Dodgers. Yankees returned the team that lost, in the ALDS last year, but they returned a pretty good team. And I still think that team was as good, if not better, than the Blue Jays team that they played against. And that team is now healthy, right? They made it through spring training without any issues. And you can't say that, for example, for the Blue Jays, right? Trey Savage has a shoulder problem. Jose Barrios is out for the season with a broken elbow. They're playing a not that great rotation if you kind of look into it pretty hard. So I'm getting up there in optimism. I feel like this is a team that is going to be probably on top of the AL East, on top of the AL. How you doing, Paul?
Back again.
Yeah. So Paul, I was just basically saying I'm optimistic. I think this is a good team, and I think that for the first time in years, they've exited spring training 100% healthy. Everybody's playing great. I mean, not everybody's playing great, but everybody is. There's some guys who allowed some. There's no big warning signs out of spring training. You don't have a Judge injury. You don't have a Cole injury. You don't have all these things that they've had to deal with over the last couple of years. And so for the first time in a long time, they start the season fully operational, and I'm excited for that.
And I was saying, I'm not all as excited as you. I guess the running it back, and I think they're working a lot on if. But if the Yankees, this is what I was saying right before you came on, if they make the playoffs, and if Cole and Rodon and Schlittler and say Carlos's last name again, because I always want to say LaGrange. If any of if those guys are pitching like they could, I mean, the Yankees could dominate in the playoffs. So that
LeGrand had a bad day today. I don't know if you saw it, but I might take that to a weird Arizona Yankee spring training game situation.
Yeah, it's a spring training. I mean, he dominated all spring. Everybody's going to have a bad game in there or whatever. I'm not worried about that in the least bit. So I wanted to play a fun game with EJ. Let's play better or worse. I'm going to look at the 2025 Yankees, and you're going to tell me if they're going to do better or worse than last year. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Last year, Austin Wells put up 0.1 WAR. He hit 219. His OPS plus was 95. He was a below average player.
He was a below average hitter. I think he's going to do better. He looked really good during the WBC. It's the weird thing about Austin Wells, right, is that he somehow last year became a glove first catcher, right? And that's just not who Austin Wells has been his entire life, right? He was the opposite, right? He was a bat first catcher his entire life, a guy who, when he was drafted, would have been drafted way higher than where the Yankees got him, which was still in the first round, had anybody thought that he'd be a good major league defensive catcher. And the line on him was he can hit, but he's probably a first baseman. So he was downgraded. And we know that there was a nerve injury, a pretty significant injury that was giving him trouble like gripping the bat and stuff last year. Maybe you can't chalk all of it up to that injury, but I mean, would it shock anybody if Austin Wells had like a 800 OPS this year? It wouldn't shock me. And in that case, then you're talking about one of the better catchers in the league. You're talking about Will Smith almost.
Yeah. So I would agree. I think if Austin Wells isn't better, the Yankees are in trouble. I mean, come on, because this guy's the whole thing on.
Paul, unfortunately, you're breaking up again. So Paul is broken up again. I apologize, everybody. This is
you're back.
Yeah, you're back. Well, you were. Yeah, I think Paul. I think you got another dead spot somewhere in your house.
I do. This is crazy. All right, so I'm gonna go off again. I can't because I'm the I can't. I could go off the screen, but we'd lose all connection because I'd have to go to a different spot. So I guess we might have to just put up with that for this show.
Yeah, it's all right. Sorry. This is the first is spring training.
This is our first live show since last autumn.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Paul Goldschmidt, he was 1.2 WAR. He had an OPS plus of 104. He had 274 with 10 homers. What's he going to do?
So I think his WAR is probably about the same. Like I think 1 is about what you would hope for Goldschmidt because you don't want him to play that much, right? If he's playing enough, maybe there's a weird late career revival in him. But I think in practice, you want to be a platoon player. And the problem last year was they just played too much against righties. It just took way too long for the Yankees to kind of give up the hope that they would have Paul Goldschmidt as an everyday player in the lineup. And by the end of last season, he was only playing against lefties. And he was still, I mean, the overall numbers weren't great, but the expected numbers were pretty good against lefties. So I have no doubt that he can still mash lefties, or at least, get hits off of lefties pretty reliably. And that's what I want out of him, right? I think if he's starting at all against any righty starter, we've made a mistake or somebody's injured. And so I think that batting line is going to be better on the season, just because you're taking out all those righty plate appearances. The wins, the playing time is going to be way lower. So I think it's a good thing, right? Like that, more wins and less playing time. That's the idea. And so I that's what I think we're getting out of Goldschmidt. He's going to be a veteran righty bench bat, and
right, we got a couple here that are going to be interesting now. Ben Rice, 2.3 WAR. He's going to be the Yankees first baseman. 255, 26 homers, 65 ribbies, a 131 OPS plus. That's tough to be better than that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at his StatCast page, and you go, "Oh man, like he got unlucky last year." But then you look at his numbers, you're like, "But he was still like a top 5 first baseman." In terms of OPS. A guy who could basically slug 500. He slugged 499. I agree. I think that there's a world where Ben Rice is. I think there's a world where Ben Rice doesn't put it together again, right? And he's he had a rookie year and that was it. There's a world where Ben Rice puts up his StatCast page, right? In which case he's the best first baseman in the league. He's up there with like Nick Kurtz, right? Like he has a lot of red ink on that StatCast page and really impressive numbers.
I'm going to say, go on.
Oh, the third world is where he was last year, which is still good, right? Which is still, the best first baseman the Yankees have had since like that brief Luke Voit period. It's I think it's really encouraging. And he's 26 years old. He's going to be around for a while. I like him. I just think Ben Rice is, has the potential to be, there's a wide range of outcomes where he is your everyday first baseman for a while, and you're happy about that.
Yeah, that's the hope. Did you see that he's like teamed up with Uncle Ben Rice? Did you see that?
No.
He signed up with Uncle Ben.
Paul, you're going out again.
All right. So did you see that he signed with Uncle Ben's Rice? Did you see this?
I heard you say that. I don't know what that means. What is Uncle Ben's Rice?
Uncle Ben's Rice is a company. It's like rice you can buy in the store, and he's Ben Rice, and it's Uncle Ben's Rice. And
Ben's Original. I've seen this. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, good for him.
Yes, looks like that's kind of a easy marketing thing. Here's another crazy one, because this is hard to say he's going to be better. I'm going to say this guy's definitely going to be worse. I can't see how he could be better. Jazz Chisholm, 4.2 WAR, 31 homers, 80 ribbies, 31 steals, an OPS plus of 125. How do you improve on that? I don't think that's going to
I'll take it, right? Look, if he's a 4-win player, I will very much take it. Does he have another gear in him? Right? That's an interesting question. I don't think he does. I think, he's talked about, hitting, going 50-50 or something like that. I think, I don't think he could. I don't think he has 50 home runs in him, frankly. I don't think he has the on base to get 50 stolen bases, right? What I would love to see, I don't care. 30 home runs is fine. If he wants to steal 50, I'd love to see him, if he could just get on base a little bit more, because I think he's the most reliable base stealer I know. I'm on the team. Like when Jazz just wants to go, he goes. You add up his 4.2 wins last year, that actually understates it a little bit, because he played a lot of third base and was a bad defender at third base. And so, he was a little bit better than that, even because, he was playing second base. He should have been playing, second base the entire time. So Paul asked me about Jazz Chisholm, and we're dealing with Paul's connection issues right now. Let me add another player that I think I'm a little worried about, and that's Ryan McMahon.
EJ, I keep moving.
Yes. And your connection,
and I keep trying to get a better signal. It's not working.
Unfortunately, you got a connection problem. Here's a player I'm worried about. You tell me if you're worried about him. I'm worried about Ryan McMahon. Oh, and there's Paul again. All right. Well, let me say why I'm worried about Ryan McMahon. He had this kind of swing change thing going on this spring, and he was awful. He hit like 180 during the spring with the swing change. Already a guy who hit like 214 after he left Coors Field. Really impressive defense, but you got to worry about him as a potential